Welcome back. First, to say it's delightful to see so many of us together. I know it's the summertime, there are vacations and chores and projects and travel and all that stuff, and it's just uh, this is this is part of our true place, this gathering of like-minded souls and the power and the unfolding that it brings. But all of us are very much accelerating into our true place. And I know you know what I'm talking about. This true place where our natural God-given talents, gifts, and abilities are put to full experience, expression, and expansion. And there's a little story within the chapter called Your True Place, written by Emmett Fox. And it's a very simple little story. And it's a story of a little girl who's out in her front yard with her father, and she's watering her garden, and it's the most delightful little project. I don't know how old she is. How old would you be? Maybe 4 or 5 when you could first conduct a coherent project like that, but it's so satisfying and pleasing. And then suddenly the water she's using to um, refresh her plants and her garden begins to wane and it runs out. And she cries to her daddy and says, "Daddy, Daddy, my water is running out. It's gone dry." And she's crying and very sad because the most wonderful thing that she's doing is it's dissipating. And her father smiles and says, "Honey, you're standing on the hose." And she goes, "Oh." And she looks down, and indeed her one of her heels is squeezing down on the hose, and so she simply gets off the hose and the water begins to flow, and her most delightful, interesting project of all time continues for a while until suddenly the water begins to uh, cut off again, and the joy of her project is destroyed, and she begins to cry gigantic tears and scream out for her father, saying, "Daddy, Daddy, the water is running out again. What's gone on? It's terrible." And Daddy smiles and looks down and says, "Honey, your other heel is on the hose." And she looks down and it's like, "Wow." And she gets that heel off of the hose. And then the project continues for as long as she wants to do it until she wants to move on to another fascinating, delightful project, as is the case for every 4-year-old, every 64-year-old. And she's learned that when life cuts off, she's stepping on the hose of life. And that's as simple as that story sounds. That is it. That is what we do. There's a channel to our true place, to our infinite goodness. And the water is the living water of life is always being sent to all of us. And all of us, for some reason, we have a blind spot to some degree of when we're stepping on the hose of life. And when we do that, we close off the aperture, the artery to God, and then our true place becomes true hell, and it begins to decay and degrade and stagnate. It loses its freshness. We seem to get older, we're sore, we're cranky, we're tired. We think that life is not what it's supposed to be. It didn't really work out, and we're stepping on the hose of life. And until we realize that no one else in the universe can step on our hose, and we realize our own unusual talent for doing that, and that we have a blind spot to it, we make getting off the hose of life our number one priority. How would you say that in religious language? Seek first the kingdom of heaven and everything else will be added, meaning get the hell off the damn hose, Greg, and experience the glory of life. So when we do this and we get off the hose, we meditate and we cooperate with God, then life begins to work out. And here's what happens in a nutshell: you become a genius. Now, an IQ genius, I become an Einstein. My IQ suddenly rockets up to, I don't know, 90. Just kidding. Um, no, you become a genius, and a genius is not necessarily intellect. You have a genius for music, for writing a book, for helping people out, for being the best grandparent ever, for expressing love and light everywhere you go. There's a trillion different qualities of genius, but you are a genius. And as you declare that and realize we're all moving toward true place, then true place begins to unfold for all of us. And with 11 of us gathered in this place, all affirming that true place is happening for all of us, it's going to be a rapid quickening and acceleration. Enjoy it. Get off the hose if you find yourself standing on it today. I sure will as well. And I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm going to go tackle 19 projects in my new place to try to turn it into true place. I'll see you all tomorrow.